Pronouns are a fundamental part of the English language. They help us not be repetitive. But there's a lot going on with pronouns, and it's going to take too much to talk about in one video. So I'm going to break it down into two. And in this first video, we're going to talk about how to use pronouns and still keep our meaning clear to our readers. There are all kinds of different pronouns in the English language. The most common ones that we use tend to be personal ones instead of using our name because that would sound weird. We may say something like I. I might use a word like he or she if I don't know your name or if I just used it and I don't want to seem a little weird. That's kind of where those things come in. Demonstrative pronouns are used to indicate things. You can see the word those here refers to the keys in the sentence because I don't want to say keys twice. I can also use pronouns to ask questions. Who told you about me? When it's going to be a little bit easier to ask the question in that kind of way. Pronouns can also be indefinite. What that means is we're not quite sure how much we're dealing with. For instance, if you and I were to see an accident, we both might run up on the accident. Since we don't know each other's names, or there's a lot of people here, we're going to yell out something like somebody called the police. And that's just going to help things get done in a quicker, tighter fashion. Uh, Pronouns can also be possessive. Remember, if you've already seen the apostrophe video, we are not going to put an apostrophe in any kind of possessive pronoun that ends in S. It's just not an appropriate way to do that. Pronouns can also be reciprocal. This is what we use when we have mutual feelings for each other or similar things like that. Pronouns can also be relative when we need to add more information to the sentence. Pronouns can also be reflexive, and you know it's a reflexive pronoun because it's going to end in self or selves. Uh, and it just helps us clarify meaning in the sentence. And then the final thing is pronouns can be intensive, and this is often when a pronoun refers to another pronoun in the same sentence. For instance, the word himself here refers to the word he. The problem with pronouns is sometimes we lose clarity. Pronouns are always preceded by an antecedent, and the pronoun should always refer to that antecedent. And I know it might be a little bit hard to see on your screen here, but if you look at the sentence, it says unclear meaning. You can see that the word it refers to the bus. It also refers to the word jacket. And so it's not really clear what I'm talking about here. Is the bus gone? Is the jacket gone? And if we were in a classroom and we were to take a vote, we would have different kinds of students saying, well, I think it refers to this word and I think it refers to that word. And in writing, we have to have clarity. And so when you're using a pronoun, make sure your clarity remains. And a good way to rewrite this sentence, kind of like you see down here at the bottom, my jacket was on the bus, but now the jacket is gone. Sometimes the pronoun is just not going to help you out, and you're going to have to repeat the noun that the pronoun refers to. It's just going to help your meaning become more clear. Remember, the goal of written communication is to make your thoughts clear to the person that is reading them. Sometimes a pronoun will help with that clarity. Sometimes a pronoun will make that message unclear. Okay. Sometimes we use pronouns when we want to imply something but not state it. You see here in our example sentence, Chloe put a bullet in the gun and shot it. It is our pronoun, but it's unclear. What did Chloe shoot? Did she shoot the gun? Did she shoot whatever she was pointing the gun at? Again, we have to retain that clear meaning. And so sometimes we cannot use a pronoun. We need to go back and use the correct noun. Also, you see another example here when this can get a little bit confusing. Dorothy told Jane she was fat. Who in this sentence is fat? Is Dorothy fat? Is Jane fat? The reader really doesn't have a clear idea. Again, if we were in a classroom, we would have different students saying different girls. And so we need to find a way to write this sentence where our meaning stays clear. Dorothy thought Jane was fat, so she told her. And now it's very clear which one of the two girls was fat. Can you start a sentence with a pronoun? The simple answer to that question is yes. Okay. John's car broke down. He walked down the street. It can get a little bit problematic, though, when we start off sentences with the word it. Sometimes it's just better to not start a sentence with that particular pronoun. Also, do not use the word it when you're referring to a person. It can be used to hurt feelings. Most English teachers frown on the pronoun you. or any variation of that pronoun. In fact, a lot of them take points off when you get into the expository section of your class. So try to find a way to write in the first or the third person, depending on which way your teacher likes. We generally do not write essays in the second person. So one of the easy ways that you can fix writing in the second person is to replace that word you or your or yourself. Replace it with the word one. That may solve your problems. If the word one doesn't work, try a person. If a person doesn't work, try people. If people doesn't work, try somebody. And if none of those work, you're just going to have to find a way to write the sentence a different way. So if you've got a sentence that says something like, you may think it's impossible to lift a car, your teacher's going to take off points for writing in the second person. An easy way to rewrite that sentence is, a person may think it's impossible to lift a car. And again, sometimes you may just have to come up with a completely different way to say what it is you're trying to say. Basically, the major takeaway I want you to get from this video is the sentences a person writes should be crystal clear to the reader. Pronouns help prevent this repetition, but they can also lead to ambiguity in meaning. When we use pronouns, make sure the meaning of the sentence is clear to the reader. Sometimes when we use pronouns, they make it sense to us, but not to the person we are addressing. And in all cases, clarity is going to trump repetitiveness. If you have any questions about pronouns and ambiguity, feel free to send me an email at the address you see there on the screen. You can also stop by my office in C288, visit our tutors in the Writing Center, or check out a great online tutorial from Purdue University.